Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Wamuchomba, the Githunguri Member of Parliament, is asking a question that Kenya Kwanza needs to give a response. And the question is in relation to the affordable housing project that has largely been explained in public as not really a scheme to give us the houses, but just to create the jobs. But remember, when the house is complete, they're no job, because they're not permanent jobs. They're jobs where, like the Wamuchomba is, they just work in the building kidogo and they leave. And I tend to believe that William Ruto do not understand the job creation aspect in that. It's actually just a stimulus. To me, the affordable housing is a stimulus. But I don't want to get into that. I want you to listen to the big question that Wamuchomba is asking Kenya Kwanza.
Because I still don't understand how you come to Kiambu County. My land is worth 300 million. You want me to hand you over this land without any form of agreement between you, the off-taker, and the owner. And you bring in a foreigner, and you want maybe that foreigner to be the contractor and the person to sell off these houses and take over the management of these houses in posterity. What is my role as the owner of that land? Remember, this land is valuable. So that is a very contentious issue. And the legal framework that has been managing the issue of housing, to me, is still not very clear. And I think when I said this is scandalous, I meant that there is some schemes of taking over prime land and handing that land to other players, unconstitutionally, unprocedurally, irregularly, and some of us, we will pay for what we are doing today in future. What will the governor of Kiambu tell the people of Kiambu? How did he hand over land to that contractor? And what is the role of county government of Kiambu in the management of those houses? What is the role of the county? Who supplies what? I want to ask you, I want to bring in a very serious issue. Let's go to Thika. We had houses that were done by the old Kiambu municipality. Those houses are occupied by county workers who pay very little rent to the county because they are county workers. You come in and tell them, move out of these houses, we demolish these houses, and we come up with fresh blocks.
Okay.
How do you tell this worker to move out? What assurance do you give him or her that when he moves out, you come up with new blocks, you are going to give him the first priority to own the house? What affordability platform do you provide for him or her? Do you provide him mortgage? Is the county government of Kiambu going to provide mortgage for those workers who are being evicted so that these houses can be built afresh? And can they afford the houses? Because remember, these are people who pay 2,000 for those houses per month.
Yeah.
So if you come up with a house worth 5 million, for example, and this guy is 55 years old, amebakisha 5 years aritire, umemfukuza na familia, how do you then make him afford this house for the remaining 5 years? Those are the issues that we have. And those are the issues that make some of us stand very firm and say no. Until we are clear. Nobody would fight city owning a house. I wouldn't fight my brother who is a driver or my cousin who is a nurse owning a house. I wouldn't fight that. But remember, I have a future in politics in this country. I don't want to ever be asked questions that I cannot answer. So I would rather stand for what I know and what I believe in. So for Governor Wamatangi to say, no, I'm not handing over this piece of land until I get it clear and until I go to the County Assembly of Kiambu and get clearance. For me, I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, this is Kenya. You say no to such a request,
Kichapo.
you suffer the consequences.
Very easy. And the Githunguri Member of Parliament was asking that in relation to the current stalemate in Kiambu, where Wamatangi has declined to give Kiambu land for affordable housing because they are not getting a deal. Land as a county has a stake. And according to what they're saying, and in fact, leave alone even the counties, how do you take my land and you just want someone to cede land to government, then you give that land to some investor. That investor constructs houses and sells. Government buys the same houses using my money, or even the same investor manages the houses, and me, the person who gave the land, stands not to benefit. I remember this is a big question because people are asking, for example, counties being asked to give some land that belongs to them, and they're saying, what is our stake? It's a big question that needs to be answered. I want to relate this directly with what is happening in Kakamega. The scenes of Kakamega demolition is a bit very devastating. In the Milimani area in Kakamega, there are some houses that were brought down. And when they were brought down, they were actually brought down against a court order. So this is something I have been following. And allegedly, some of the prominent persons are the ones that have been brought down, including Rai, the person who, the businessman who recently was at loggerheads with William Ruto, Titus Hamala, the Lulurambi Member of Parliament, and the former mayor. Some eminent houses have been brought down there, and allegedly that they are on public land. Now, if you follow keenly, the Kakamega County government is not yet involved. So leave alone even the Kiambu one. And that is why I actually linked it, because this is the question. Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza is saying, we were not involved. We didn't know about it. In fact, there was a court order against it. And we don't know what exactly is the deal. So the county government, and that with demolition, that space is supposed to be for building some affordable housing units. But then, being taken, allegedly taking some public land, which they're also saying, and I wanted to listen to, Nani is saying, Baraza is saying that some land that belongs to national government officials have not been demolished, but those belongs to people within the area, the county, have been demolished. I wanted to listen to that, and you will also get what Regadi was saying about demolitions.
On Poton, viongozi wa Nyandarua.
Now, Rigathi Gachagua, that speech we've listened to is Rigathi Gachagua was saying that whenever there is a demolition, the county needs to be involved. The leadership, the county commission, everyone needs to be at the table. And he was responding to this during the Machakos demolitions. So, I want to tell you here, there is a high likelihood that the land cartels have devolved to counties and to the far end counties. And that ring, if it is not tamed, I'm telling you that it's going to wreak its ugly face on the counties, because the counties are actually very powerless. Raila Odinga visited the area, that site, accompanied by leaders from that region. And of course, it was part of his Western tour. He was in Kakamega for an ODM registration drive. And one of the places he visited was that place. And you could see that even from the speeches from that place, it's very clear that a ring of land grabbers could have devolved to the counties. This is coming because even in Uasin Gishu, there is some allegation of some land grabbing because Eldoret town is being expanded to a town. Now, this is a snippet of Raila and Titus Hamala's speech there.
This is not something that is expected. Even during the worst days of Nyayo's dictatorship, we never witnessed a thing like this here. Hii ni kitendo cha unyama ambayo imefanyika dhidi ya Wakenya ambayo hawana hatia yoyote. Watu ambayo hatia yao ni kumiliki manyumba. Yaani wao vile mmesikia mjumbe amesema mwenyewe alinunua shamba hii kwa mzee, akalipa pesa na akajenga nyumba yeye mwenyewe. Yeye mwenyewe ndiye anaishi hapa. Na serikali inakuja tena, inakuja usiku. Usiku ni wachawi ndio wanatembea usiku. Kama wewe unakuja kufanya kitendo cha halali, unakuja mchana, unakuja na makaratasi yako, unamkabidhi yule ambaye yuko pale, unasema sisi tumepea amri kuja kubomoa. Mimi nimebomoa manyumba ya watu nilipokuwa waziri wa barabara na ujenzi. Lakini ilikuwa inafanyika mchana. Tena nilikuwa nimeambia maafisa pale waende kule wamuonyeshe kila mtu notisi imetoka kwa serikali. Kwa sababu gani tulikuwa tunafanya kitendo kama hicho? Sasa kama serikali nasema unataka kujenga manyumba kwa watu na unabomoa manyumba ya watu wengine, sasa hiyo ni kazi gani hiyo? Si kazi bure hiyo. Si kazi bure sana.
Kwa hivyo wewe ndio mtetezi wetu, wewe ndio unalia na sisi, na mimi nikiwa hapa nataka nikuambie hii dhuluma imefanywa kwangu kama MP, na mtu wa kawaida je, atafanywa nini? I'm loyal to you baba. Kama kuna mahali nimekukosea, nakuomba msamaha. Tembea na wewe, niwe mwaminifu katika chama, uniletea tikiti hapo shughuli kwa kiwanja. Sikutafuta hata tikiti, nitakufanyia kazi. Sitapeleka mtu mahakama. Asira ambayo niko nayo nitaipeleka kwa kuuza chama cha ODM. Hapo nitapeleka pesa. Nao mimi natangaza ni OP. Na mimi ni mtumishi wa Mungu. Wazama leo kama mkaba sote. Amana kama mkaba hizo. Mungu aweze kutumia tuzo. Wazama leo Mungu. Mungu aweze.
So this thing is real, and it's a big headache that I think needs to be answered. I don't really feel that as much as we are building the houses and under the guise of creating jobs, but the project should not be disruptive. Because honestly, those residents from that area, those affected, are saying that demolition was done despite of a court order that was stopping it. That it was not really that there was no court order. There was a court order that was stopping it. It was done against that wish. And I think even the court was saying that, you know what, they tried to give a position on that, but their position could not hold, or no one were actually willing to listen to them. So I want to look at this matter, and I want to look at the affordable housing, to have a deep dive on the fate of affordable housing in respect to this latest move of locking the counties out. But before we get more into that, I want to humbly request you to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. Thank you very much for much of that which you are. Thank you very much for your support. I've managed 2,000 subscribers for the month of November. As we get to this month of December, I hope that we are going to get more subscribers. We've tried to review our content, and kindly subscribe, and thank you for also those who share our contents. Now, to help us understand, before to give us a good position to understand whether it's going to achieve its objective, I want to say this. The housing levy that is being deducted from the salaried Kenyans is money that is being collected, that after government, it's like a booster, it's like a cushion fund somewhere. So government is supposed to give a conducive environment for, and also to allegedly avail land, because they said there was land available. And after being given land, So that money was set up to ensure that houses can be built in nearly all the counties, because allegedly the framers of this event, the framers of this project are lying in public, and I want to use the word lying in public, that they want to build houses to create jobs. But in the real sense, someone is just doing his personal investment. And that is why there is a lot of secrecy. The project is shrouded in is shrouded in secrecy. And not everyone seems to understand what exactly is the nitty-gritties. So, for example, if a house is built in Kakamega and no one can occupy that house, then what the government will do, government will pay that investor and take the keys of that house. So that was meant to believe, that kitty was meant to ensure that it's not a must that a house is built on a highly profitable region. For example, you must not then build a house in Kileleshwa. Because you have this fund, even in the county of Siaya, where the uptake can be low, you can build those houses so that the young people, my brothers and sisters in that county from the home county, can get jobs. That is why we had the housing levy. But contrary to that, we have been seeing demolitions in mostly prime areas. And if this was to help, it was supposed to open up the idle areas, the idle centers. You can get to Sia and you must not build a house near Sia. You can go to the far end and also open up those places. I want to believe that was the idea. But the AH program has become very disruptive, and the counties should be involved at some point, especially on the issue of land. The biggest question, or rather the biggest challenge, and why I want to believe that Gadona Muchomba's question must be answered in respect to this, was the land must be well defined in that framework. Because the truth be told, the houses we are building, we are not giving them for free. We are going to put them in some sort of a mortgage. So people are going to pay. So there is an income element. It's not a social. The housing scheme is not a social justice scheme to make sure that there is justice for everyone to have shelter. That's not it. The houses are going to be availed for those who can afford. And affordability is defined. I know they have been told there are different kinds of those houses. But affordability, what the point is here. The government of that investor, someone is going to make a profit. And land is a factor of production. If indeed you are taking land that belongs to someone, if you are taking land that belongs to the county, I do believe that there should be a coordination or a legal framework on how the project is going to operationalize in counties. Otherwise, the project is not going to achieve its objectives. Because what will happen? You will go and build affordable houses in Siaya, and the next day the county says, we are going to build another units for our staff. So what happens? If you are ejecting county staff to build houses there, it must be because someone is going to get a profit. I want to believe because you're going to get a profit. If you're taking someone's land, either it is individual or it is for county government, there must be an agreement on this. Number two, it is very wrong and it is a bit dishonesty for the national government to create a perception that they're the only ones that have monopoly of building houses. Yes. You know, the dream of affordable housing was to ensure that people can get decent houses and live in dignity. That is what have been explained, unless someone has another understanding. That is what has been explained. And so for this to be achieved, it should be not be seen to believe that this perception should not be created that unless affordable housing by government, that people cannot build their own houses. Because what we have been doing is that we have been raiding people that have borrowed loans and even paying big schemes to set up houses, we have been bringing them down. And I'm like, can't we still do houses? Can't government get land without building already existing ones? Because do you want to tell me that if you eject these families from this, should they come back and occupy the affordable housing? This is it. It is, if that objective to be achieved, it's a very comprehensive, it's a very inclusive scheme that as much as government is building and they have the luxury of land and they have created conducive environment and they have given incentives to these investors, these incentives should also be extended to individuals. Because even if government is to build us houses, you cannot build houses for the 50 million of us all. Some who are able and can afford should just be allowed to thrive. But like what has been happening, these scenes of demolitions are a bit scary. And I just want to say something. Even me, I was having a chit chat with some of my people in my friends in my circle. And we were having a debate. Where should I build? Should I build in Nairobi? Should I build in Ushago? And people think, oh, me, I'd rather go to my ancestral land, who go in the villages where government cannot come and eject me. We're already creating fear, and people are now shying away from putting up their houses in the urban centers. Even though you need to believe that just like the same way affordable housing can create jobs, even these private properties can also create jobs. Yes. Even these private properties, the same engineers, or do government have the best engineers and masons that can work in those areas? I'd want to believe that we are not honest about it. And we must relocate. Number 3, the combative demolitions are not only a sign of dictatorship, but they're also creating humanitarian crisis. And a big problem. Some people are in depression because I want you to imagine a house you've spent 50 million even to put up. Then one day you wake up in the morning and the bulldozers are waiting to bring it down. You can't collect yourself and even make sense of the whole thing. So on this one, we need to be a little bit sensitive and ensure that we are accommodative. Thank you, guys. And I believe that the questions, the more we have the likes of Wamuchomba asking questions, maybe the political class or the crop of leaders we'll have might find the reason to change ways. Thank you.